Scalpel. Number 5. What does the patient require? Yes. We just don't have that anesthetist, you know?
That's what you need.
Yeah. Give him more morphine, quick. He's awake. You can feel all these little fibers through here.
It feels like it's gonna crack.
Nah, I won't, don't worry.
I'm sure that's why it's.
Yeah. Yeah, no, it's fine. Oh, that was good. Feel like doing a bit of stretching at the same time, huh?
Ooh, 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 ooh.
Yeah. You may as well, you know what I mean? Make the best of your time, you know?
Oh,
This is quite fun, actually. Oh, look at that fun, yes. Getting there. Just really needed that gentle persuasion to just encourage it gently to say, come on.
Still in awe how you can do this, how you discovered this technique and perfected it.
Yeah, it's kind of like following a trail, you know, but like I'm obviously I'm following a trail like physically on these, but just the whole thing has been following, because in the end it's like, yeah, you can have inputs of other people and inputs of theory, but the reality is you're working on a body, you know?
Yeah.
And everybody's a little bit different, you know, so it's like you can bring what you've learned from the other, you know, 10 or 20,000 people you've worked on to the table, you know.
Yeah.
But in the end, it's still one you've got to make it suit the person, you know.
Yeah.
That's what I always teach my students: make the massage suit the person, let the person suit the massage. And it's just that you've got to be constantly present as much as you can, you know. And just be present with what you're doing and what you're feeling, and it's like, okay, where's that going and where's it coming from, you know? And you have your theories because you've worked on so many people. It's like, okay, well, there's a certain similarity between people, but then there's individual differences, you know? On more, you know, physically, of course, but also, you know, mentally, emotionally, spiritually, or whatever, you know? Everybody's an individual. So it's definitely an art form where you then you got all this knowledge or experience and techniques that you can use, or even tools, you know? They're like tools in your tool bag, and you got to be the one that figures out, what do I do next? You know, and sometimes there's a lot of guesswork involved, and you try something and see if it works, and if it doesn't, you're like, okay, that didn't work. And sometimes you then go, okay, let me try something else, or you know. And the more people you work on, the more you can get it where, okay, I know that this is going to work, you know. But you know, 35 years on, and I still kind of love what I do in a certain way. You know what I mean? It's sort of like, it's hard work. It's tiring. You know, I get tired these days easily.
Yeah.
You know, and if I'm not tired, then when I get really tired, I start obviously not to like it just because I'm tired. You know.
Yeah. Yeah.
But other than that, it's sort of like it keeps my mind really present. You know, I gotta like be focused and like, okay, I'm thinking, you know, it's a different type of thinking. I'm not just intellectually going, ooh, you know, analyzing. I am analyzing, but I'm also just got to be present with what I'm doing. And is what I'm doing working? Is it working? If not, why not? Where is it held, you know?
Yeah.
So I'm constantly engaged in that, which probably is also why it's more tiring. Why I could really only do, you know, 10 or 15 hours a week if I was to set up even in full-time practice. I think maybe if I did 20 hours a week, I think I'd be starting to get pretty tired, you know?
Yeah.
Because it's a physically tired, but there's a mental focus, you know?
Yeah.
And then it's just that, like I was saying to you yesterday, is that also because I want to get results as quick as I can. So I'm working up at people's pain thresholds.
Yeah.
And working at people's pain thresholds is also, it requires a high level of responsibility because you're up there, you know, people, like even when I'm stretching your thumb, I'm pushing that thing to its, you know, where it hasn't been, you know, and you're like, fuck, you know, so I'm taking responsibility for that, you know, and that also, that's tiring because I got to be very present. I'm very responsive, you know.
Yeah, absolutely.
So, yeah.
So how much hand and feet work has replaced the deep belly stuff?
It's more about the order of it. So deep belly is still very important. But what I found is working on people's deep, you know, sometimes you get stuff out really easy, especially if it's near the surface or, you know, like you access it and they're like, oh fuck, that's my repressed emotion, I feel that, I'm gonna cry. But what I also found then is that sometimes you get to a point it's just not moving. It's like you're going in there and you're trying to shift it and you don't want to bruise people. And it's because it's anchored in the toes. So it's not that it's replaced it, it's more the order. So when I'm looking at a person, I'm thinking the order that things need to be done. And the order is, sure, we get rid of anything that comes away nice and easy by working the belly, you know, getting them deep breathing, calming their mind, you know, stage one. But then stage two is your deep excavation, and that is your toes and your fingers, because once I do your toes, then this is no longer anchored. You can see how like that's super, it's anchored, right? And where is it anchored? It's anchored for, you know, hips, legs, you know, and in the end, tip of the toes. So, and then what I found is people are having huge chi and emotional releases when I start to release their toes as well. Because this energy is no longer held. And it's just like, it's like what I call free floating energy all of a sudden. It's like, fuck, it's not anchored. This is, and whatever it is, the emotion, the fucking whatever, right? I call it the weird and the wonderful, you know? Because it's like, it's all individual, you know? But it's fucking weird, you know? And it's wonderful. Yeah. It's kind of simple and relatable, you know? But it's fucking weird. You know, it's just, yeah, it's some, you know, and it's just what I realized, you know. So I've got my techniques, I got my thing, but then I'm working on a person, and might not have ever met this person before, you know?
Yeah.
And I have no idea what's going on in this life for them or their past lives.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So I'm sort of trying to apply everything that I've got in terms of my abilities to this particular individual, you know? And that's the weird and the wonderful. But it's not even them, it's like, it's their shit, you know?
Yeah.
It's the energy that they're holding, you know?
Yeah.
And as I'm saying, sometimes when some of the energies that people have released are fucking intense, you know? Like unbelievable anger and unbelievable, the depths of sadness, you know, where you just, it affects your soul, that level of sad, you know, just going, holy shit. I remember working on this blind guy, and he was in the Hungarian army, and his officer ordered him to escape during the Cold War, drive across the border, and everybody in his truck was machine gunned and killed except for him in the drive. He had 3 machine gun bullets in his back.
Whoa.
Then he immigrated to Australia, got married, and then he went into the hospital for an operation on, I think it was his pituitary or pineal gland, I can't remember which, came out completely blind. And then his wife left him.
Oh my God.
And so he's living alone in the snowy mountains, and his carer contacted me, and she's like, you know, can he learn massage from you? And I'm like, you know, blind people are traditionally good at it. I've never trained a blind person, but if you come in, I'll do a demo, you know, if you can show him what I'm doing. Anyway, he was doing quite well, but I got him on the table, and once I got through the armor, the initial layer, and he actually started to open up, and the fucking sadness that came out of him, you know, and he started speaking in Hungarian, and he was calling about his wife, and it was so fucking sad. You could just feel this loneliness, you know, like so lonely, you know? And then I was crying while I was massaging him. It was just because it affects me, you know? Like if I haven't dealt with my fear of loneliness, then whatever the person's going through brings up the stuff that I'm hiding. You know, it's like a mirror that somebody shines in your...
Yeah.
So I've had to kind of confront different fears that, you know, normally we just shove down, you know?
Yeah, right.
You know? And it's like, otherwise you kind of avoid working on that person because you're like, fuck, I'm not ready to be in that space with you, you know?
Yeah.
And that is one of the hardest things because it's challenging, you know? You got to constantly be looking at yourself and trying to be the eye in the hurricane for other people, you know?
Yeah.
And it's just like sometimes you can't always relate to what other people have gone through. You know, it's kind of like if you're working on Rwandan refugees who've gone through the fucking massacres, you know? We can't relate to that, you know, unless you've had a past life, or, you know what I mean? Like maybe some people can, but there's always going to be something with somebody that you haven't been through, you know, and especially in what I call cotton wool countries, like, you know, Australia, America, you know?
Yeah.
Like after going to India, I felt like fucking, I was coming back to Australia, was living in cotton wool, because there's people in India walking around with tumors on the side, you know?
Yeah.
I actually remember my ex was in Mathura Hospital with malaria, and it was just, I was waiting around because she was unconscious for a few days, and I was just walking around Mathura Hospital, and fuck man, it's just, India's like raw, you know? And yeah, so it's just, you know, it's just kind of like, it's more that in some ways that, like, for me, it's all of it is a challenge, but it's all, you know, where you can continue to grow. It's not like, you can either become stagnant or you can run away from it. You can run away from what you're going to confront when you're working on people. And so there's times where I've wanted to, you know.
Yeah.
Some of the shit, I just like, once I, like, some of those fucking exorcisms and stuff, I was just like, nah, how the fuck did I get into this, you know?
Yeah.
And that's not what I want to do. I don't want to be dealing with some of this demoniac shit, you know what I mean? It's kind of like actually a little bit, it's not just scary, but it's heavy. It's heavy. It's really heavy. There's nothing funny. There's nothing, you know what I mean? It's just all, And you're kind of going, fuck, did I become a spiritual warrior, you know?
Yeah.
It's not, and you kind of go, I just kind of want to go back to normal.
Yeah.
But you don't know who's going to walk in and with what problems, you know, and you're just sitting there and you're just trying to be a servant, basically. It's a serving mentality, you know?
Yeah. Yeah.
And you're going, okay, how can I try and help you to get rid of whatever it is that you're holding on to that's not you and that's not helping you? And yeah, some of it's ugly, very fucking ugly. And then you're with some of the people, you're like, yeah, you release this shit and it comes straight into your room. This energy, and you're swimming it. It's like you're working in fields of, you know, like a energetic field of shit. There's no other analogy for it because it's like shitty energy. But some people are not like, you know, I'm not really getting that so much with you. You know, I know you got the repressed anger and it hasn't come out or anything, but and we'll see what that's all about. But maybe we will, maybe we won't. You know. But with some people, it's just, you know, it's very intense.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I wonder how much of that is just like, yeah, like we were saying before, just being stuck in a material body. It's not our natural condition.
Yeah, well, you know, there's got to be, because it's so common, you know. I'm not saying everybody has, because I've met people without any fucking tension, and it blows my mind.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
What's their problem?
Yeah. I was like, did you have like perfect parents who loved you and, you know, encouraged you to be yourself, and, you know, it's like, yeah, I do know. Yeah. Never, you know what I mean? It's just like, kind of get a bit jealous.
Yeah.
Try not to be, but I'm like, damn, I should be the one on the fucking table, not you. I remember this one guy, he was like, he did a lot of yoga and stuff, and it was like to the point where I was massaging him deep in his armpits, you know, which would normally be fucking like nobody, you know.
Yeah.
And then he was so flexible that he did some commercial for that game Twister, you know, where they're doing all these weird positions and stuff.
Oh, okay.
And it was only after him doing a film fucking of that, a commercial for that for 3 days that he came in and he was actually quite tight, you know.
Oh, yeah.
And felt everything like a normal person would. But he sticks out as the... But the vast majority of people, he's like in the top, you know, 0.1% of not very tight people, you know.
Yeah.
Of course, maybe not very tight people don't seek out massage, I don't know. But I don't think there's very many of them around. I don't think the vast majority of people are what I call fucked up.
Yeah.
It's a technical term.